I'm honored to have you be there with this discussion with me because we're going to take feedback from the audience. There's going to be a lot of very prominent people there from the community, from nonprofit organizations, CEOs of companies, media companies, activists, staffers on the Hill, consultants, lobbyists, people who have influence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Latino Vote Podcast. We're back, baby. We were gone for a few weeks because Mike was in the south of France, probably rebuilding one of his houses. Mike, welcome back.
Hey, brother. It's good to see you. It's been a long time, man. It feels like it's been longer than a couple of weeks. I was actually in London.
But was it the south of France? You were in London at the Oxfords debating with folks, right?
I was scrapping with, rather than my Mexican redneck debate partner every week, I was debating in a tuxedo at Oxford. So not quite as fun, Chuck, I gotta admit it. It'd be great to see you in a tuxedo and a cowboy hat at Oxford someday. But people are going to be able to see a little bit of us mixing it up a little bit, but we'll let you talk about that after we welcome everybody back. It feels good to be back, man. It's been, like I said, it feels odd after doing this for a few years not to have you part of that weekly clockwork, and it's good to be back with you.
Yeah, and for all of you at home, you should know that the Latino Vote Podcast is coming back bigger and better. We have a new production team. We wanted to make sure that everything was aligned for the big summit that we have coming up. We're going to talk in detail with this episode about what you can expect next Tuesday at the first annual Latino Vote Summit. And also later in the next month, we're going to LA to do a live simulcast at the NALEO conference. So we wanted to make sure that we had gotten rid of the old Volkswagen Bug that we were currently driving as a operating vehicle for the podcast here, and try to upgrade to a Chevy Suburban truck.
And it's going to be a busy run from there through the midterms. There's just so much to cover. There's so many races, so many dynamics. We didn't get to touch on the California primary as much as I had hoped because
Did Steyer win?
Steyer, he's still holding out votes. I think he's still spread money around trying to buy the remaining votes that are out there.
Tell him if he gives me $1 million, I'll make him get him delivered on this thing.
Maybe you can make him governor of somewhere for a couple $1 billion. I'm sure he's going to run for dog catcher now. He's going to spend a couple gazillion dollars.
Congratulations to Javier Becerra. I mean, 4 months ago, folks were asking him if he would drop out because he was in single digits, and I'll be damned, he beat all our asses, right, Mike?
Yeah, first Latino elected governor in 150 years. Again, knock on wood, this will happen in November. But he's up 20 points in the latest poll, and it is California in the most anti-Trump environment in Trump's entire tenure as a public persona. And it's like I said, it's California. We haven't changed our voting patterns here in 30 years, and I don't think we're going to by November. So big deal. For the first time since Romualdo Pacheco in 1857, there will be a Latino governor of California. There's a lot of excitement building about not just what that means for the state, but really what that means nationally for the narrative of what's going to happen with Latinos. Because, and get this, Chuck, Javier Becerra is the working class son of immigrants. Our good friend Alex Padilla, who I think we're going to have on the show relatively soon, is grew up working class son of immigrants, U.S. Senator. Monique Limon, I mentioned this last time, our good friend, daughter of immigrants, working class, and the same with Robert Rivas as Speaker. I know I've visited on this before, but I want to visit it again.
It's a big deal.
This is a big moment for the country, for the party, the Democratic Party, and for California. So all of our discussions, Chuck, on the podcast, I think America is listening because the party is waking up and realizing these Latino Vote Podcast guys have got it nailed. They understand the future. If we get back to our working class roots, we're going to be okay. And California seems to be doing just that.
Well, that's a great segue into what we're looking forward to as you're listening to this podcast on this Tuesday, June the 23rd, at the Press Club in Washington, D.C., we're going to have the first annual Latino Vote Summit. And me and Mike and both of our teams have worked diligently while we've been off of the podcast, putting this together. And I think, Mike, that we have assembled a great cast and crew of folks that you all are going to be thoroughly enjoyed listening to and seeing. And the thought of this, I give Mike credit for this, was to bring folks together to talk about what we have in common. Not the 20% of the shit we're going to disagree on, but what is the Latino agenda for America? In his words, he would say, is what do we demand of the Republican Party? What do we demand of the Democratic Party? And what are the results that our community deserves to have now that we are a true swing universe, right, Mike?
That's right, Chuck. And that's, look, a lot of this was born out of the discussions in the community we've built here as a podcast, not just with Chuck and I, but all of our guests and all of you, the conversations we've been having. I think the reason why it's taken off and why people find so much interest in it, there's an awareness that folks, things just aren't working. It doesn't mean everybody's bad. Everyone's got a lot of good we're bringing to the table. No one's trying to create a third party here. Those days are, that's not a thing. That's not what we're talking about. But what we do want to do is start breathing some life into a Latino agenda. You do have very large, prominent Latino elected officials that did not exist when we started this podcast. Senator Ruben Gallego, who will be with us at the event. You've got Javier Becerra now as governor of the largest state pending. Alex Padilla in the U.S. Senate side. There's more and more faces popping up all the time, and the country is waking up and realizing there's an economic agenda that is not being realized. There's more work to be done. The immigration stuff has gone off the rails. It's hurting our country. It's tearing us apart. There needs to be more Latino voices standing up and pushing back on this stuff. And it's time we started to define a Latino agenda, Chuck. And I'm honored to have you be there with this discussion with me, because we're going to take feedback from the audience. There's going to be a lot of very prominent people there from the community, from nonprofit organizations, CEOs of companies, media companies, activists, staffers on the Hill, consultants, lobbyists, people who have influence. And it was curated. We both looked over each other's lists, and yeah, there were people who said, no, that's probably not a good idea. A lot more people that were like, yeah, okay, let's figure this out and make a phone call here, because this person definitely needs to be in the room. And I think we're going to have a very productive day. That's the goal, is how can we start with all of us in our own roles. And there are a lot of us now, a lot more than when you and I were kids in this business, who sit in prominent positions of authority to help guide politicians on both sides, to help guide the media, to help guide political consultants, to help guide policy consultants on the Hill about what an actual articulable agenda is, because it doesn't fit in either party's agenda right now. But that's okay. We're going to start driving our own. And I couldn't be more proud to be doing it with you, brother. I think it's going to be a really productive day.
So we're going to run through what we've got in store for you, for those of you who can attend, so you'll know who'll be there. And if you hear this and you're like, well, I didn't get invited and I really want to be there, at the end of this, I'm going to give you an email for special folks that are listening to this episode. We have just a few spots. We're really sold out, but we're going to make room for a few of the listeners if they are in town and they want to be here and we had overlooked them, because there will be people that I know I overlooked, that Mike overlooked, because this is our first time doing it. So give us a little grace here. We're trying to get the room full of the right people. The day's going to start the day before on the 22nd. We're going to host a gathering of folks that are non-press for us to have a conversation amongst family without the reporters being there, because the reporters will be there all day on the 23rd as we want, because we want them covering this, y'all. We want them talking about our stories and our narratives. But the night before, we're going to have an attendees-only reception at the Paraíso restaurant in the Capitol Hill neighborhood close to where I am. It's actually a place where I hosted a book party for my friend Mike Madrid when he came to D.C. Mexican-owned restaurant. They make pretty good tacos. We're going to buy everybody some food. We're not going to buy your alcohol because we've watched you drink, so you have to buy your own alcohol. But we are going to buy you some food. We're going to be at Paraíso the night before, and then get started the next morning at 8 a.m. with kind of a social breakfast. Like, we're going to have some pastries, we're going to have coffee, but this is for folks to get to meet. If you want to be there early, and you don't have to be there because you can't network while we're having these panels, come early. From 8 to 9, it's just going to be coffee and social hour before we start the first panel. And we're excited to have some great guests and some great, we should thank our sponsors here.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the first panel and have Mike talk about the first panel, because he's going to kick things off. But the sponsors, two great TV stations, Televisa, Univision, also Telemundo as our second sponsor, Altamed, a great company out of Los Angeles. Thanks to them, Altamed, for being involved. And then also Intravision, another media company, is going to be there. All of these folks, y'all, are rooted in our community. They all advertise in our community. They all give us news in our community. So I think it's really important where you've seen these Spanish language outlets step up to say, we're going to pay for this. And thank God they did. Me and Mike even though Mike's credit card is still down for part of this, he's going to get paid back. And we actually made enough money to pay for all of this where we didn't have to pay for it ourselves. So thanks and big cowboy hat tip to our sponsors. Mike, anything on the sponsors before we go into the first panel?
No, just thanks so much for making this possible. And I really do want to stress this is going to be a summit which is going to be curated. Has not been a cattle call. We're going to have a group of people that we all know and intersect with our lives, but aren't usually at the same conferences. That's by design. There's going to be Republicans in this room, Democrats in this room, labor organizers, Chamber of Commerce members, people from right and left, and really some prominent independents too that I'm excited to have there. The idea is to talk beyond our party labels, and that's what our community is doing. That's what we want to give voice to. We'll be talking about a number of policy issues where there's clear opportunities to do that. They are oftentimes the tough ones. We tackle them a lot on the podcast here. But first, we're going to begin the day. Can I jump into the beginning of the day, Chuck?
Do the first panel. It's yours.
The first panel is going to be a gathering of a couple of pollsters who we have both worked with and have come to know and respect. Carlos Odio, you know Carlos from previous episodes. He's one of the best numbers guys in the business, just bar none. He's a dear friend of the podcast, and I trust this guy's numbers intuitively. We do debate a little bit, as we should, on some of the analysis. That's why he's going to be here. But by and large, he's going to help us set the debate, the day's understanding of where some of these gaps are that exist, along with Eileen Cardona. Eileen is with Heart Research. And Eileen is somebody who has been doing races nationally for some time, too. I think you're really going to appreciate her and her work. The two of them, along with me moderating, are going to walk through some of what we call the quantitative data for you nerds, which is basically saying the polling data on things like the economy and immigration, where there are clear opportunities for both parties to have to change direction in the way they're approaching things in order to capture larger shares of this vote. And I'm excited about this panel because we're literally going to talk through how Republicans can make adjustments on immigration and start doing better than they have been, how Democrats can engage a more pro-growth, pro-building agenda for the fastest growing share of the working class to meet the needs of folks and get their own larger share of Latino voters, and see who can wrestle down this largest swing voting block in America that's getting bigger and bigger and moving further and further away from both parties. That's the goal. That's going to kick off the day. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chuck. And Chuck, what are you going to walk us through?
I want to go back to your panel to give folks just a little bit of background on both of these folks. With Carlos, you should know that Carlos and Eki's Lab has put out a Battlegrounds Latino Vote poll, and they've went into just the congressional seats where Latinos will make a factor that me and Mike talk about all the time, and just talk to Latino voters. So when Mike's talking to Carlos, Carlos has been polling in Spanish and English just in the battleground states. A lot of folks come to us with national polls with Latinos, and that's fine. Statewide polls with Latinos, that's fine. But Carlos and them know that this election is going to be about a handful of congressional races, and Carlos from the outside has been polling those people. Now, Eileen, guess what? She works for the party. She's been in the party apparatus polling Latinos in Latino battleground states, in battleground districts. So we picked these two people because there's probably nobody who knows more about Latinos in these battleground states and these battleground congressional seats. Sure, me and Mike do a lot of work and we get to see numbers a lot of places. But if you want to be somewhere to talk about the pulse of where we are today with Latino voters, there couldn't be two more better folks that Mike is going to be interviewing to kind of set the, how do I say it, Mike? To set the day, set the tone for the day, because everything else drives from where Latinos are in the polling right now. And what are they telling you? Have they all run back to the Democrats? Are they running back to the Republicans? Are they still disenfranchised? I've seen the Carlos Odio poll, and I think you won't be surprised what he's found, because it sounds a lot like what me and Mike Madrid have been talking about on this podcast. The next panel will start right after that. It'll be the second panel of the day where we kind of get into the issues. I'm considering it the issues panel because these folks work with folks on the ground around issues that they're hearing from Latinos every day. And it starts with Melissa Morales. She's the president and CEO of Somos Votantes. They probably will have more money moving through their field operation in battleground Latino districts than any other place. And so much so that they're doing a ton of work with Latino communities, and she'll talk about this, but in a place like Las Vegas, Mike, you may not know this, they have been doing kind of, I consider it a Libre kind of initiative where they've been there working year round and trying to root themselves in the community to do things that are non-political. And they just had a whole group of people that are Latinos there fill out applications to where they help pay off Latinos' medical debt. If you lived in East Las Vegas and you were part of this organization on the ground, people brought their medical debt there. They instead of using their money for TV ads, they actually gave people checks to help them with debt if they were in debt. Anyway, we're going to talk about what it means to be rooted in community and what they hear. The bottom line is she hears a lot of shit. The second person is Jason Villalba. You may remember he helped me and Mike start this, Republican from Texas who does a ton of work in Texas on issue polling and focus groups. Jason's a good buddy of mine, good buddy of Mike's. We trust Jason, common sense Republican, going to be there. The other woman who's going to be there is a good friend of ours, Bertha. Bertha used to be a chief of staff in Congress. She grew up in California. She does a bunch of amazing work with Altamed, and she's going to talk about the healthcare issue because one of the biggest reasons Latinos go in debt is because of having to pay for healthcare. So she's going to talk about the healthcare issue. So you can see we've brought in the best of the best to talk about the polling and then talk about the issues from healthcare to jobs to the economy and all the things about what folks are hearing. Mike, your feedback on the first two panels, I know we talked about all the time.
Just that. I mean, look, we always hear the word affordability. It's become this buzzword that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. It's like this word up at 30,000 foot level. This panel is going to dig deep into what that actually means. There's obviously healthcare implications. Jason Villalba, our friend, is the head of the Texas Public Policy Foundation.
Thank you very much. I forgot that.
That's all right. It's important only because they do tackle exactly what these issues are: the housing crisis, the cost of energy, gasoline, all of those things that are nickel and diming the working class to death. These are the folks that are dealing with this stuff on the ground through policy, through research, and through their day-to-day activities. So good panel. I think it's a great segue after the data, and it's going to start putting, I think, some meat on the bones, if you will, to what affordability means and how to start talking to the community better.
And that's going to lead us into our lunch program. We're going to bring out some lunch. I want to get filet mignons, but Mike said we can only afford sandwiches. But we're going to have some lunch. And the lunch will be served, and then we're going to hear from our good friend Ruben Gallego, who throughout all of this has probably been with a handful of other folks ahead of the curve on where our community has been, whether he's talking about border security, talking about common sense economic solutions, talking about what actually affordability means to working class families. So we're going to have a candid conversation, just me and Mike, in what we're calling a fireside chat. How about that? I'm not bringing any fire, Mike, but fireside chat with Senator Ruben Gallego for the lunch program that everybody's going to really enjoy, Mike. Have you got your questions together, Mike, for Ruben Gallego?
I'm going to throw some hardball.
Oh, here we go. No,
high and tight. Throw some heaters. Right.
You're going to get me fired, is what you're going to do.
Yeah, probably. He can handle himself. I'm not worried about Ruben. I'm excited because Ruben has also been a big supporter of the show. He's been a fan for a long time of what we've been doing ever since he was in the House side, before he was in the Senate. I wrote about him in great length in my book about what the promises that I think that he has and pretends. So he's I think going to talk at a 30,000 foot level about where he sees the country going, where he sees the community going. And I just couldn't be more excited to have him there. I'm looking forward to having the senator with us.
And, we asked Ruben, Mike, 4 months ago, without hesitation, he goes, I've always wanted to see this happen in Washington. I'm in. Build the whole thing. Do it. We built this whole thing around this town hall. At one point, we were just going to have a town hall, and Mike was like, let's just do the whole conference. I was like, fuck yeah. So this was like the root, because we talked so about how he gets it. I can pontificate, but he gets it. And so we're going to do this with him. We're going to go after that to our last panel of the day, which is going to kind of dig into not what's wrong with immigration, not blame game immigration, but what can we come together to fix in immigration? And why hasn't immigration already been fixed? Is there common sense solutions about what we can agree on If me and Mike Madrid, a staunch R&D, can agree that this needs to be fixed, and here are some ideas how to fix it, Democrats and Republicans should be too. So, Mike, you want to tell folks the credentials of the first Republican that we have on the panel?
Yeah, my good friend Rosario Marin is going to be there, and I asked Rosario a little while ago. Many of you may know Rosario. She was the first Mexican-born U.S. treasurer of the United States of America under George W. Bush. And I've known Rosario for 30 years. She's a fierce advocate for the Latino community. She's a good Republican, has taken very strong, high profile, high public stances in opposition to the current administration, fearlessly, under extraordinary attack and duress, but knows who she is, knows where she stands, knows what this means for the country, and is clearly, as a proud immigrant from Mexico herself, going to be a fierce advocate for finding further reforms. She's also, not afraid to say, where the line isn't going too far, as I have been too, and saying, look, this is a tough issue. But the data again is going to be clear on this, on where our community wants to be, and the truth of the matter is, it's where the majority of Americans want to be. The difference, the difficulty, the reason we haven't been able to get immigration reform done since 1986, Chuck, since you were like 45, 46 years old.
86. I was still in
Yeah,
high school.
yeah. Well, you graduated a little later than most of us, but that's
It took me a
okay.
few
It
times.
took you a few times. Is because it's hard for the parties to get to where the country wants to be. And again, no issue more than immigration really, I think, defines why we're doing this summit. Is we've got to have a conversation about what Republicans have clearly been doing wrong, and the truth of the matter is what Democrats have done wrong to not get us to goal, to get us to this point, to resolve this issue generationally and move on to the other issues that are less likely to get in our way. So, Chuck, who else will be on the panel?
That's amazing. We also have Vanessa Cardenas, who has probably been leading this fight for a long time. She is one of the preeminent experts on immigration, but she comes at it from the angle of wanting to get something done. So she works with business, she works with labor, she works with anybody in Congress who wants to get this done as an immigrant herself. So she's going to be somebody there who's been working on this issue from day one. And joining her is somebody who also won't be a big surprise to you, who represents a giant portion of the border, is Congressman Gabe Vasquez. So Gabe Vasquez will be there to talk about what immigration means representing a border district. Oh, a border district that's 50-50, a border district that's half Republican and half Democrat. So I think that's really important. You should also know that there were a number of other Republican Congress folks that we tried to get there. And because this is fly-in day for many of them, at least this is the excuse, none of them were hostile. And a lot of them said they listened to the show. They just couldn't make it work. So I wanted everybody to know that I have, and Mike got to hear some of my frustration with it yesterday because I was just at my wit's end. Is I've been chasing down 3 different Republican Congress folks to be there. It just didn't work out, and we ended up getting somebody really good thanks to Mike, and we have Vanessa. So I think we're going to get a lot out of this immigration panel. Mike, you?
I think so too. I'm excited. And I am also very hopeful that as the audience grows, as this movement grows, as our intentions continue to grow with Republican members, many of whom do listen to the show. Again, I've gotten that feedback too. They'll be a little bit more open to kind of being there with us. It's not that they weren't, I think, for scheduling purposes, flying day, as you mentioned, but regardless, we will start getting as many Republicans as we can give platform to, and it's just a challenge of the current environment, and we'll keep working at it.
And I think that that's the panel, and that's the day. There'll be much more. There'll be breaks. We're going to hear from a senior vice president of Televisa Univision. There's going to be an amazing host, Nicole Suarez, if I got that right, Mike, who's going to be moderating the immigration panel. Like, there's a lot of VIPs in the room. I suggest if you're coming, you plan on being there all day. There's going to be networking opportunities. We just built in some spacers between the panels so that folks could get a chance, because the folks that'll be in the room, and it's a small room, y'all. We just wanted, between 100 and 200 people in this room. It ain't a cattle call. But we have people flying in from almost every state. I heard from a guy from Boston today. I heard from another fella who's coming in from Miami. I heard from a woman who's coming in from Texas. There's a woman coming in from a nonprofit in Washington State. I'll talk to you about that, Mike, later, Mike. But she has a nonprofit. She's coming. Like she had to, anyway. People are doing extraordinary things just to be able to make it to this thing, and there will be representation up and down the board. And I was very intentional about making sure that a lot of the Republican operatives around town, you remember different folks we've had on this show that are Republicans, that will be there as well, along with very famous media folks. So if you want to get to meet some of these Latino media types, Mike, I got a call yesterday from Boris Sanchez from CNN. He said,
Oh,
I'm coming.
Boris. Oh,
Well,
wonderful.
he's coming. He said he can't be there all day because he's doing his show in the afternoon,
Yeah, yeah.
but he'll come in the morning. I got a call I did Sabrina Rodriguez. We did CNN together on Tuesday. First thing she said is, Chuck, I can't wait to see you and Mike together at the thing. So she's been on the podcast and she's
great.
coming.
Yeah.
Adrian Carrasquillo's coming down from New York. Mike, he's going to make his entire Bulwark newsletter this week about the conference.
Wonderful.
He's going to do the whole piece about the conference and what he learned at the conference for his, what do they call it? What I forget. It's about the Statue of Liberty's huddled masses is what he calls his newsletter. And then Jim Acosta said he is coming.
Wow.
Lulu Garcia from the New York Times, who does the interview. Lulu, I saw her at CNN the other day. She said, I'm going to try to come, Chuck. So look, all of these people, you've read their stuff.
Jenny Medina from the New York Times is going to be there. Leon Krause, the world famous Univision reporter who lives in the DC area. It's going to be a great event.
And the reason I bring this up is not to virtue signal the fancy people that me and Mike Madrid know, but it's so that you'll come and meet them. They're regular folks, and they shouldn't just be, quoting me and Mike. Lots of people lazy reporters call me and Mike Madrid all the time because they know me and him will bring some fire. But y'all should meet them as well. They should be calling the Latino operative in Washington State and asking what they think about things. So come and meet these folks. They're very accessible. None of them are assholes. Me and Mike had one policy for folks that we invited, and it was no assholes allowed, except for Mike. But everybody else was allowed.
Everybody else is, again,
not allowed. That's right.
Not allowed. Look, again, this is I'm excited. It's a curated audience. We do have a space. We chose the press club for a reason. We wanted folks to be there. We want our friends in the media there, but we also really wanted to be able to have a conversation. I'm excited about the networking opportunity because there are going to be people who we have both known from both sides of the aisle for 30 years that have probably never been in the same room together, saying we're ready to work together. Let's have these conversations. Let's start driving an agenda that's different because it's broken right now. It's not working, and it's time to get this stuff fixed.
Absolutely. And I think that the email address, I'm going to give it to you now. So get out your pencil. If you have gotten this, especially if you're in the DC area, you're a regular listener in DC, and you did not get an invitation because I had wrote down your email wrong at some point in my life, which is very, very possible. We probably could accommodate 4, 5, 6 people just because I think there'll be a few folks who can't make it on game day. And that email address is the info at my firm, solidaritystrategies.com. I have some junior staffers that are checking that every day to see. So info at solidaritystrategies, that's IES.com. Tell us who you are, tell us who you're with, and why you want to come. I put this on social the other day so that we make sure we don't leave out listeners. I don't care about Joe Blow who thinks they should have got invited. They probably didn't get invited on purpose. But if you're a regular listener of the show, and you've been listening to me and Mike talk about this and you didn't get an invite and you live in DC, email me. We'll try to find some room for you because we want you and those folks like that to be there. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's about building community. We're already making plans for the Los Angeles event, like I said, because it has gone so well. There will be a lot of LA folks that will be with us at the event. A lot of Californians had said, I really want to be there. Can't get across country. Do something on this side of the country. And we said, let's do it. A couple months. We'll start doing LA. And if we've got the bandwidth, the capacity, Chuck and I always bite off more than we can chew. We'd love to get down to Miami. We'd love to get down to Florida and or the Rio Grande Valley. So keep your eyes open, your ears perked up. We might be able, if we can pull it off, to get to either one of those great states, maybe both. I know I'm getting a little ambitious here. Chuck's getting nervous.
Jesus Christ.
But it is growing, and people are interested, and we want to be able to take the show to you, take these summits to you, take these conversations to you, and keep building this out around the country. If you are interested, send us information if you think you can host and help us get some people that would be interested in having the conversation in other parts of the country. Let us know. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing it.
And I want to thank all of you for listening this week. Also flag for you LA folks. July the 15th, me and Mike are doing a live episode at Naleo in Los Angeles. And afterwards, I'm making him take me out to supposedly get some kind of proper Mexican food that they have in Los Angeles. Is that correct, Mike? We're going to a Taco Bell?
We're going to go to some of the best Mexican food in the world. We're going to give Mexico a little bit of props here by saying they probably do it a little bit better than California.
Del Taco.
But second is California Mexican food. When you don't do none of this Tex-Mex stuff where Tex got to put its name on everything, Tex-Italian, Tex-Greek. No. This is the real deal. We don't need to hide it and change names. I'm bringing in the big guns. I'm bringing in Gustavo Arellano. The man.
Is he the taco man?
He's literally the man who wrote the book on the history of Mexican food. He is a connoisseur and expert on all things Mexican food-wise.
Can I put Texas, ketchup on my tacos with him?
And Arizona and California. We're gonna bring a film crew. We're gonna have a good time. So we're gonna have a little. We're gonna show Chuck what good Mexican food is. Get him out of that Texas bubble he's been in.
Whatever.
Feed him some good food.
But I'm not going to turn down good Mexican food because there's one thing that we can agree on. We're not going to agree that Texas Mexican food is not good because it is the best. But what me and you can agree on, Mr. Georgetown hoity-toity tuxedo wearing, fancy Italian shoe wearing Mexican, is that DC does not have any good Mexican food. So I am looking forward to it.
Let's do it, brother. Great talking to you.
For those of you at home, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to have an amazing time. I hope to see all of you at the Latino Vote Summit coming up on the 23rd next Tuesday at the Press Club. I hope you can be there. If you're still lucky enough to have your mama with you, you should call her and tell her you love her. Matter of fact, Chuck Rocha and Ebony Payne are going to see my mama this Friday. We're going to be down in Florida. I'm going to go see my mama before we have this Latino Vote Summit so she can give me some good luck on it. My mama's birthday is next week. Happy birthday, Mama. And for the rest of you, y'all be good, and I'll see you at the summit.